All right, Coach, welcome back to the RPO Lab. This video, we're going to talk about building your RPOs. This video will also have a worksheet and an outline of how you can build your RPOs based on your personnel, your quarterback, and everything that has to do with your offense this spring as you get into summer and then into fall ball. So let's talk about building your RPOs. The first thing you got to look at, what are our base runs? I think when you get more advanced in the RPO game, you're probably going to have the ability to use RPOs in any and all of your run game, whether it's zone scheme, gap scheme, man scheme, and then you're going to advance with your RPO game. But I think you have to look at, what are my base runs? So if you're an inside zone team and a power team, you're going to probably want to figure out what are going to be my best RPO opportunities off of inside zone, off of power. Same thing if you had counter, same thing if you had outside zone, same thing if you had pin and pull. You got to figure out exactly what your base runs are, what are your highest volume runs, and you want to be able to protect those runs with your RPO game. That's something you want to consider as you're building your RPO. And then as I look at this next thing here, what is the skill set of your QB? What can he execute? How fast is his release and how well does he move? So those are some factors there that'll let me know, do I want to use first level and get my quarterback outside the pocket? Or, is he more of a pocket guy where I'm going to use second level where there can be a little bit of time to get the ball out? And then when I think about these third level timing, with ball handle, mesh, throw, I always want to evaluate the release time of our quarterbacks. And that's one of the key indicators that we look at when we're recruiting quarterbacks. What offense are they running in high school? If we're going to utilize RPOs, how fast can he get the ball out? And obviously accuracy and all those things. But, I think this is a big foundational point in building your RPOs. What can your quarterback execute? And then I think you need to look at, what defensive structures are you facing? 10 years ago when I was a high school coach, we saw basically 4-down defenses pretty much 9 out of 10 weeks. Every once in a while, we'd see that 3-3 stack or that odd front. And then you get in the playoffs and it'd be a mixture. But nowadays, for us, it's probably 50-50, 4-down, 3-down. There's tight front, there's bare fronts, there's all these, different fronts and adjustments that teams are doing. So I think you really have to look at, what can your offensive line execute? How are you going to run the football and attack these defensive structures that are different from week to week? And then where does my RPO game fit in? And I think this has got to be a factor in, if you're going to see a lot of 3-down teams, you're going to want to build your run game menu that you can execute at a high level versus those fronts, and then tie in the RPOs that fit with that. So that's something I think you need to consider for sure. Using GIFs, those are your pre-snap throws. I think those are as good as anything, where you've got this play called and, you might have a sexy cross RPO and you're going to try to bang a glance into the boundary. But if you can throw bubble to the field because the apex defender is cheating, then you want to do that. So using GIFs, I think, is also a part of building your RPOs. And then you got to consider downfield RPOs and then behind the line of scrimmage RPOs and a combination of both. Obviously we'll talk about level 1, level 2, level 3 RPOs, but again, getting the ball out fast, being high percentage with that as well. And then I think the last thing that you should consider is, situational football. Where else can I use these? Where on third down, can I use an RPO rather than a play action, maybe in that third down and 3, third down and, 4 range? Where else could I get it, in the second down, category, which I think you got to really focus on. And then obviously also in the red zone. And then, what defense am I seeing coverage wise as well? So I think situational football is something that you definitely have to consider here. So again, this is a video about building your RPOs. Be on the lookout for the outline and the download so you can start looking at evaluating your offense and building your RPO game.